So you care about the environment, right? You buy the brands with the leaves on the packaging, the ones that say eco friendly and sustainable and natural. You pay a little extra because, hey, it's worth it to protect the planet. Here's the problem: you're likely being lied to, not by small companies trying to make a difference. No, no, no. You're being lied to by massive corporations who figured out it's way cheaper to look green than to actually be green. It's called greenwashing, and it's everywhere. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how they do it, why they do it, and most importantly, how to stop falling for it. Because once you see it, well, you can't unsee it. Let's dive in. All right, so what is greenwashing? The term was actually coined back in 1986 by environmentalist Jay Westerveld. He was staying at a hotel in Samoa and he noticed those little cards on the bathroom. You know the ones: save the planet, reuse your towels. Sounds nice, right? Except the same hotel was actively expanding into ecologically sensitive areas, destroying local ecosystems for profit. The save the planet message wasn't about the planet at all. It was about saving the hotel money on laundry costs. That is greenwashing in its purest form. Now, here's our definition: greenwashing is when a company spends more time and money claiming to be environmentally responsible than actually being environmentally responsible. It's marketing, it's deception, it's a con. And guess what? It works really well. A 2021 European Commission study found that 42% of green claims made by companies were exaggerated, false, or deceptive. 42%. That means when you see a product marketed as eco friendly, there's basically a coin flip chance it's complete BS. But here's what makes greenwashing so insidious: it's not always an outright lie. Sometimes it's a truth that's been stretched so thin you can see through it. Sometimes it's technically accurate but completely irrelevant. Let me give you an example. You see a product that says made with 100% recycled plastic. Now that sounds great, except only the cap is recycled. The entire rest of the bottle? Virgin plastic. But hey, they didn't lie. They just let you assume. That's what greenwashing is. Or how about this? Contains no toxic chemicals. That sounds cool, except neither does any product in the category because those chemicals are already banned by law. They're out here actually bragging about meeting the bare minimum legal requirement and acting like they're environmental heroes. That is also greenwashing. In 2007, a marketing firm called TerraChoice did something very interesting. They studied over 1,000 products making environmental claims and identified 7 common patterns of deception. They called them the 7 sins of greenwashing. And once you know what they are, you'll see them everywhere. Sin number 1: the sin of the hidden trade off. This is when a company highlights one environmental attribute while conveniently ignoring everything else that's terrible. Like calling something eco friendly because it's made from bamboo, while completely ignoring the massive carbon footprint from shipping it halfway across the world, or the toxic chemicals used in processing the bamboo, or the exploitative labor conditions, and on and on and on. They show you the one good thing and hope you don't ask about the 47 other bad things. Sin number 2: the sin of no proof. Companies make environmental claims that actually can't be verified. Our product is sustainable. Okay, prove it. Show me the third party certification. Show me the data. Oh, you don't have it? You just got vibes and words? Cool. Sin number 3: the sin of vagueness. This one's my favorite because it's just so blatant. Words like natural, eco friendly, green, pure, sustainable, these terms mean nothing. They're not regulated terms, they're not defined. A company can slap natural on anything. Arsenic is natural, crude oil is natural, Oreos are natural. That doesn't make them good for you or the environment. But hey, it sounds nice, doesn't it? Sin number 4, the sin of worshiping false labels. Companies create their own fake certifications that look official but mean nothing. You see a little leaf logo with certified green written underneath it? Who actually certified it? The company's marketing team? Real certifications come from independent third party organizations. If you can't verify who is doing the certifying, then it's worthless. Sin number 5, the sin of irrelevance. Making environmental claims that are true but completely meaningless. Here's an example: CFC free on a product. Now, that sounds great, except CFCs have been banned since the 1990s. Every single product is CFC free. You're not special for being CFC free. It's like bragging that your restaurant doesn't serve rat meat. Cool. Neither does anybody else. Sin number 6, the lesser of two evils. This is when a company markets something as green when the entire category is environmentally destructive. Eco friendly cigarettes, sustainable SUV, the good presidential candidate. No, you can't polish that turd. Some things are just bad, and calling them less bad doesn't make them good. And lastly, sin number 7, the sin of fibbing. This one's pretty simple. It's just straight up lying. Remember Volkswagen's clean diesel campaign? What they did was install software into their cars to cheat the emissions test while marketing their cars as environmentally friendly. They got caught and they paid tens of billions of dollars in fines. But how many other companies are doing the same thing and just haven't been caught yet? So now that you know the 7 sins, let's talk about the specific tactics companies use to greenwash their products. Tactic number 1, nature imagery. Put a picture of a leaf, a tree, a mountain, or literally anything green on your packaging, and consumers will subconsciously associate your product with nature. Doesn't matter what's actually in the product. Could be toxic chemicals, could be destroying rainforests. That doesn't matter. There's a tree on the label. It's psychological manipulation and it works incredibly well. Tactic number 2, vague, unregulated language. Now, we touched on this already, but it deserves its own little section because this is everywhere. Words like natural, eco conscious, earth friendly, green, clean, pure, and sustainable. None of those terms are regulated by the FDA or the EPA. Companies can just use them however they want. It's actually slop dressed up as environmental responsibility. Tactic number 3, selective disclosure. Companies love to brag about the one thing they're doing right while staying real quiet about everything else. We use 30% recycled materials. Okay, what about the other 70%? What about your manufacturing emissions? What about your supply chain labor practices? Nothing. They only tell you what makes them look good. Tactic number 4, the hidden trade off. We covered this as a sin, but let me give you a real example. H&M's Conscious Collection, marketed as sustainable fashion, well, that sounds great. Except H&M is a fast fashion company. Their entire business model is built on overproduction, cheap slave labor, and disposable clothing that ends up in landfills. You can't fix that with a conscious collection. That's like McDonald's selling one salad and calling themselves a health food company. The business model is the problem. Slapping a green label on 5% of your products doesn't fix that. Tactic number five, outright lies. Let's talk about Volkswagen again, because that one is just too on the nose. For years, they marketed their diesel vehicles as clean diesel. They ran ads about how environmentally friendly they were. They targeted eco conscious consumers. Then in 2015, we found out they'd installed defeat devices, which was software designed to cheat the emissions test. In real world driving conditions, these cars were emitting up to 40 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxides. 40 times. They weren't just greenwashing, they were actively, knowingly, and deliberately lying. And they're not the only ones. They're just the ones who got caught. Greenwashing isn't just done on a label, it could be done by buying credibility. Big corporations figured out something pretty genius. Instead of actually becoming sustainable, they can just buy small eco friendly brands and use their reputation as a shield. It's a form of laundering credibility, and it's disgusting. Now, let me walk you through how this works. Step one, find a beloved, genuinely eco friendly brand with a loyal customer base. Step two, buy them. Step three, keep the green branding and messaging, but quietly change the practices to maximize profits. Step four, use that brand's eco friendly reputation to greenwash your entire corporation. It's corporate identity theft, and it happens all the time. Let me give you some examples. Burt's Bees. Burt's Bees started as a small, authentic, natural products company. Beeswax lip balm made by an actual beekeeper named Bert. Then Clorox, a company literally built on toxic chemicals, bought them for nearly $1 billion. Now, did Clorox suddenly become environmentally conscious? No. Did Burt's Bees maintain its original standards? Well, that's highly debatable. But now Clorox gets to say, hey, we own Burt's Bees. We care about the environment. Meanwhile, they're still manufacturing bleach and other products with significant environmental impacts. But consumers see Burt's Bees and thinks natural. They don't think Clorox. And that's the point. Tom's of Maine. Tom's of Maine built its reputation on natural, environmentally responsible personal care products. Then Colgate Palmolive bought them. Colgate Palmolive, a company that's faced multiple controversies over animal testing, environmental violations, and questionable ingredient sourcing. But guess what? Now they get to point to Tom's of Maine and say, look at how green we are. Did Colgate Palmolive change their practices? Not meaningfully. Did Tom's of Maine maintain its original mission? Well, many watchdog groups argue no. But the branding, well, it stayed the same. The green imagery stayed exactly the same. The Body Shop. The Body Shop was founded on ethical principles: no animal testing, fair trade, and environmental activism. Then L'Oreal, a company known for animal testing and whose parent company is Nestle, one of the most ethically problematic corporations on earth, the ones who think that water isn't all right, they bought them. The backlash was immediate. Customers felt betrayed. So L'Oreal sold the Body Shop to Natura in 2017, which then went into administration in 2025 due to financial struggles. The brand got passed around like a hot potato, and with each sale, the original mission got more and more diluted. But hey, at least L'Oreal got to use the Body Shop's reputation for a decade to greenwash their image. Honest Tea. Honest Tea was founded on the principle of making organic, low sugar beverages. Then, Coca Cola, the company selling liquid sugar on every corner of the planet, they bought them. And just like that, Coca Cola gets to say, we're diversifying into healthier options. We care about wellness. Meanwhile, they're still the biggest sugary beverage company in the world, contributing to obesity and diabetes epidemics globally. But now they can point to Honest Tea and say, see, we're changing. Spoiler alert, they're not. Do you see the pattern? Big corporations buy green credibility instead of earning it. They slap an eco friendly brand onto their portfolio and use it as proof that they care about the environment, while their core business remains as destructive as ever. It's greenwashing through acquisition, and consumers fall for it all the time. Because when you scan Burt's Bees lip balm, you don't think about Clorox. When you grab Honest Tea, you don't think about Coca Cola. And that's exactly what they're counting on. I mean, I think about those things, but I helped build an app to expose these types of things. So, you know. Okay, so companies lie about being green. Why does that actually matter? Because greenwashing doesn't just mislead consumers, it actively harms environmental progress. Here's how. Greenwashing undermines legitimate companies. Small businesses that are actually sustainable have to compete with massive corporations that just pretend to be sustainable. And guess who's got the bigger marketing budget? Guess who can afford to plaster eco friendly on every product and flood the market with green imagery? The big guys, the mega corporations. So consumers end up buying the greenwash products because they're cheaper, more accessible, and more visible, while the real sustainable companies, they struggle until they get bought out. Greenwashing creates consumer cynicism. When people realize they've been lied to, they stop trusting all environmental claims, even the legitimate ones. A 2023 study found that 53% of US consumers sometimes or never believe companies' environmental claims anymore. That's the damage greenwashing does. It poisons the well for everyone. Greenwashing removes the incentive for real change. If companies can get all of the benefits of looking green without actually being green, why would they change? It's way cheaper to hire a marketing team than to overhaul your entire supply chain. It's way easier to slap a leaf on your packaging than to reduce emissions. Greenwashing rewards deception and punishes genuine effort, and that's a huge problem. So now that I've shown you all the ways companies are greenwashing, how do you avoid falling for greenwash labels? Now, here are the red flags to look for. Red flag number one, vague, unregulated language. If a product says natural, eco friendly, green, or sustainable without any specifics, be skeptical. Look for concrete claims with third party certification: USDA organic, Fair Trade certified, B Corp certified. These mean something because they're verified by independent organizations. If there's no certification, there's probably no substance to the claim. Red flag number two, nature imagery without explanation. Leaves, trees, mountains, green packaging. If it looks green but doesn't explain why, it's probably greenwashing. Real eco friendly companies will tell you exactly what they're doing and why it matters. Greenwashers will just show you a picture of nature and hope you make the connection yourself. Red flag number three, selective transparency. If a company only talks about one environmental initiative while staying silent on everything else, that's a red flag. Real sustainability is holistic. It covers sourcing, manufacturing, packaging, shipping, labor practices, and end of life disposal. If they're only bragging about one piece of that puzzle, they're likely hiding something. Red flag number four, green products from decidedly ungreen companies. When Coca Cola launches an eco friendly water bottle, be suspicious. When H&M releases a sustainable clothing line, be suspicious. When BP rebrands itself as Beyond Petroleum, be extremely suspicious. Leopards don't change their spots, and massive corporations don't transform overnight. If the parent company's core business is environmentally destructive, their green products are almost always greenwashing. Red flag number 5, no transparency on ownership. And here's the big one: if you have no idea who actually owns the brand, you can't make an informed decision. Because the brand might look independent and eco friendly, but it could be owned by a massive conglomerate with a terrible environmental record. And that's where buyer comes in. Here's the thing: you shouldn't have to be a detective every time you buy something. You shouldn't need a PhD in corporate ownership structures to figure out if the natural brand you're buying is actually owned by a chemical company. But for far too long, that's been the reality because companies intentionally hide their ownership. They want you to think Burt's Bees is still run by a beekeeper named Bert. They want you to think Tom's of Maine is a small family business. They want you to think Honest Tea is some scrappy startup. Because the moment you realize it's Clorox, Colgate Palmolive, and Coca Cola, the illusion breaks. That's where we come in. You can scan a barcode, instantly you see who actually owns the brands, whether it's family owned, privately held, or owned by a mega corporation, and the full ownership structure all the way to the top. No detective work, no research, no guessing, just transparency. And here's the best part: buyer doesn't tell you what to buy. We don't rate products, we don't judge. We just give you the facts. You decide what matters to you. Maybe you don't care if Burt's Bees is owned by Clorox. That's fine, but at least you know. Look, greenwashing is never going to go away. As long as consumers care about the environment, companies will find ways to exploit that care for profit. It's kind of what they do. But you don't have to fall for it anymore. Now you know the 7 sins, you know the tactics, and you know what to look for. And most importantly, you know that corporate ownership is intentionally hidden because if you knew who really owned these brands, you'd make different choices. The fight against greenwashing starts with information. You can't vote with your dollar if you don't know where your dollars are really going. That ends today. Download Buyer for free on iOS or Android. Scan the barcode, see the truth, and make informed decisions. Because if they're going to lie to you, you should know.